I have a handful of really silly movies that I just love, and one of them is Meet the Parents, and some of you may know it. In Meet the Parents, the actor Ben Stiller is traveling for the first time to meet the parents of his fiancée. And as you can imagine, there are multiple kind of cringy and awkward moments as he meets his fiancée's parents, and especially her dad. And one of those is around the dinner table. They sit down to the dinner table, and the dad says to Ben Stiller's character, Greg, would you say grace for us? And there's an awkward silence, and then he begins, day by day, by day, by day, clearly not knowing what to say and drawing on the song Day by Day from the Broadway musical Godspell. But there's something to that. Day by day by day. It is, in fact, how we form new habits, how we change our lives, how we move away and shift away from unhealthy practices, and how we can move closer to God. Every once in a while in some of our lives, we have a mountaintop experience of closeness with God, but for most of us, most of the time, it is in fact day by day by day. And in the same way that 2 minutes of deep breathing or meditation or 10 minutes of exercise a day can improve your mental, emotional, or physical health, so it is that simple daily practices day after day after day can bring us communion and closeness with God, which I think is the goal for all of us, is to be close to God, to know God in an intimate way, and to be in communion with God. Some of you may have these practices, the Lord's Prayer, scripture reading, any number of other spiritual practices, but one I wanted to introduce and offer is the practice of what's called this daily examen, and it was created by St. Ignatius, and it's a very simple way of just reflecting on your day in a way that will eventually, day by day by day, bring us much closer to God. There are multiple iterations of the examen, and you can look it up. You can find written resources, you can find books, you can find audio resources where someone will guide you through it with their voice. One of the simplest ways is just to say, where did I feel close to God today? At the end of the day, to say, where was God's presence known to me? Where did God feel real? Oftentimes on mission trips, and especially with youth, I will often ask, did you have a God moment today? And people will share all kinds of stories, from something very simple to something maybe bigger and more profound. And if you wanted to go further into that, you can also say, where did I feel distant from God today? Where did God feel far away? And day by day by day, focusing on those reflections has the potential to move us farther away from those places where God feels distant or far away, and closer to the places, to the practices, to the moments in life. Maybe it's just opening our eyes to the places where God is close. God is near. We know God's very real presence. So may this simple practice of the daily examen, where did I feel close to God today, and where did I feel distant from God today, day after day after day, bring you closer to those places of communion and God's real presence, as is your desire.